Nazarth, Pillars of Gladness by Dr. Alexander Cummins, published through Hadean Press. Now, I'll show you a little bit more about the cover in a few moments. For now, let me just go straight to this subtitle here, which will give you an idea of what's contained in the book. It's a Geomancer's Angelical Psalter of calls, containing vessels 19 with which to water the earth. I've really enjoyed this. These are basically 19 poems, but they're poems that don't come out of the mind of Dr. Al Cummins. They are poems that have been received through numerous different methods, and those methods are actually listed on Hadean Press's website. And I think this is the one thing that I was a little bit sorry about, is that the process of receiving these poems is not clear to me from the introduction. The introduction is fascinating, by the way, and Dr. Cummins really covers quite a lot of ground in quite a short number of pages, talking about the angelical language, and then talking about geomancy, and then talking about the link between the two. It does kind of assume that you're familiar with what geomancy is. Luckily I am, but it's possible that some of you watching may not be quite so familiar. In short, we could say that geomancy is like the Western equivalent of the I Ching, with slightly different numbers, slightly different methods, but that's generally the kind of idea. So as I say, I kind of wish that the process of receiving these, which involved apparently dream incubation and evocation and scrying and many fascinating, interesting methods, and I think that I would have welcomed reading about that process in the introduction. Nevertheless, what is in the introduction is fascinating, and the poems themselves are, I don't know, there's something else. They are really involving. They're gripping. They're quite sensual in the direct meaning of that words, as in they involve the senses in very direct ways. Evocative. There we go. I think that's the best word for them. And in every case, so you get the Enochian version with the Enochian letters, and then there's a transcription of the English pronunciation. Okay, so it's kind of a phonetic writing of what was on the previous page, and then there's a translation directly into English, so that we can understand actually what the call is doing and what it's saying. That introduction about the Enochian language includes the information that it was considered to be, or at least it was said to be, precisely water with which to water the earth, and that's the subtitle, isn't it? It's vessels with which to water the earth. So that's kind of what these are. They are calls. I suppose that's kind of reminiscent of the Enochian calls to the ether, which is one of the things that Enochian is famous for. You'll probably know whether this is of interest to you already or not, or whether you want to revise a little bit of what Enochian is and who John Dee was, and even eventually what geomancy is, since this really is a kind of a coming together of those two things. And if you're interested in neither, then this book is going to do very little for you. Although, even then, I think that the poems are so evocative, so interesting, that they're of value in their own right. And I kind of like Dr. Cummins' first words here: poetry requires no explanation, and these calls will speak for themselves with tongues ag compo. I don't know, is that Latin? Or I wonder, or is it maybe Enochian? I feel terrible that I wouldn't know that. With which none hath yet numbered. There we go. So, but that's a very good point here, right? The poems really explain themselves. That's really the core of this book and the point of this book. The introduction, I suppose, is really just a little aside. So now let me talk a little bit about the form of the book, because that's really what attracted me in the first place. I'm going to take the opportunity of being on this page to show you this lovely font, how traditional that is, and you know how much I love my letterpress looking fonts. I think that's really great. So yeah, as you go inside, of course the fonts are very precise, right? The titles retain that kind of traditional letterpress font, but yeah, the poems are very simple, very easy to read, very easy on the eye for sure. I love that font. And here are the end papers, very lovely end papers. These are prints, of course. I doubt very much that these were in fact dipped. Yeah, it's a direct reproduction, so that's definitely a print. Although it's very lovely. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. Yeah, it's very nicely printed. But then the cover, oh my goodness, that cover. And it's the cover, of course, that made me absolutely certain that I couldn't do without this particular volume. It's velvet, look at that. And it's just as soft as it looks, with these silver vessels pouring out the water. So beautiful, so beautiful, with the spine, with that silver stamp. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The design, from what I understand, was informed by Dr. Cummins. Now, once again, I assume this is something that he's received as well. He gave very clear, very strict instructions on what the book should look like, and I think that it's one of the most striking books that I've seen all year. Then there have been some very beautiful books this year, certainly among the top 10, and possibly even higher. So yeah, very nice, very lovely design, very beautiful embodiment for this Psalter, right? For these angelic poems which were received. Yeah, these contacted poems, really lovely. What else can I talk about? I think that's probably about it. There is a paperback edition available as well. I'll leave links down in the description to all the various editions. Of course, you can buy these through Hadean Press. I am not 100% sure whether there are still any of these standard hardcovers left, but I'll certainly go and find out and leave links down below for you if there are. It's possible that there still are. And the paperback edition is also available directly through Hadean Press, but Hadean Press usually make their paperbacks also available through other internet purchasing channels, and I'll leave links to that below as well. So a very beautiful book, and a very nice incarnation for these beautiful poems. There we are. Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. I hope the video was useful for you. And yeah, subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. Lots of details down in the descriptions and in the comments, of course, if you'd like to support the channel by following the Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member and so on and so forth. Lots of good stuff. Thanks so much for watching and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.